Brian was used to finding peculiar things in his backyard, from old toys to an occasional lost bird. One day, he stumbled upon a giant egg hidden amongst the shrubs, and he immediately knew this was no ordinary discovery. This was confirmed the next morning when he was awakened by the wailing of police sirens that only seemed to get closer and closer. Brian did not expect these kinds of consequences of his bizarre find. Brian had never seen anything like this before in his life. This egg was as big as his hand, and on top of that, it was blue, for crying out loud. What the hell was he dealing with here, and how had it gotten into his garden? Maybe he could find some answers by searching for the egg online. But this would turn out to be a futile attempt. He found that there were a couple of birds able to lay blue eggs, but none of those eggs came even close to the size of the one he was holding in his hand. This egg was just about the size of all those birds themselves. So maybe it was not a bird who put this egg in his garden, but what else could possibly be responsible? Brian decided to go past some of his neighbors' houses and ask them if they had seen or heard of any unusual animals passing through the area recently. His children were often playing in the street, and he could not help but be worried for their safety if he were to discover that there was a dangerous animal on the loose here. Because if this egg was actually laid by an animal, it had to be big. That was one thing that Jonathan knew for sure. But sadly, his neighbors were not much help at first. A lot of them were not even home, and the ones who were claimed they had not seen anything of the sort. But one did have security cameras outside of his house recording the neighborhood. But even on the footage of the previous couple of days, there was nothing out of the ordinary to be seen. There was a constant view of Brian's house, and all he could see was him, his family, and a delivery man going on and off the property. He was stamped, and because he told the whole neighborhood about the egg, they were now scared. For now, Jonathan decided to just leave the egg alone and let the strange situation rest. He locked it up in a box and just decided to keep a close eye on his surroundings when he was home. In his mind, there was not much else he could do. But one of his neighbors, Letitia, had a very different idea about that. She wanted to know the truth about the strange egg. She had already asked Brian if she could have it if he was not going to pursue answers any further. But Brian had refused, as it was still his find. But this did not stop Letitia. She started going online and asking forums, subreddits, etc. about the egg, hoping that somebody had answers. She did not get very far with her search. Most people just told her she was crazy or that they had no idea what she was talking about. None of the posts got a lot of interaction anyway, so there was not much chance that somebody with an idea about the egg would see it. And then, 2 days later, all of her posts were suddenly deleted. And not only that, Letitia noticed that she was completely cut off from the internet. At first, she thought that it might be an issue with the router of the provider. But then she discovered that everybody in the neighborhood was suddenly without access to the internet, and nobody could seem to figure out why. All their equipment was intact. There was no news about a power outage or other problems in their area, and even when they called their providers, none of them seemed to know what was causing this problem. They were stumped, but not for long. The truth would soon be revealed to these people. Suddenly, they started hearing sirens in the distance. A lot of sirens, in fact, and they were getting closer rapidly. The neighbors, who had come outside to discuss what the hell was happening, started looking around to see if they could maybe see a fire or something else close to them that the sirens could be on their way to, but there was nothing. And it quickly became apparent that the sirens were, in fact, headed to them. Within minutes, the police cars and other vehicles with makeshift sirens started showing up all around the neighborhood. The inhabitants were stunned into silence. But when the police excited their cars with their guns drawn, they knew that they were serious. All of them needed to get down on the ground and put their hands up. The police were clearly not taking any chances here. But the neighbors were still completely clueless about what they were coming here to do. and the officer did not seem so eager to share that information either. All they were told was that they needed to evacuate the neighborhood. They were all led to police vans, every single person there, and none of them knew why. But then the police started going around the vehicles and asking if any of them were Letitia, if she was here. The neighbors were very confused as to why they were looking for her, but they could confirm that she was not in fact among them. They actually had no idea where she had gone. Brian's once tranquil neighborhood buzzed with a frenzy of media activity. News vans, their satellite dishes reaching skyward, lined the streets. Reporters, microphones in hand, speculated wildly. Is this a new species? One pondered. An extraterrestrial object? Another suggested. The mysterious blue egg, nestled in Brian's garden, had transformed from a quiet curiosity into the epicenter of a sensational news storm. Inside, Brian watched the chaos, his mind not on the egg, but on Letitia. She had vanished, her fascination with the egg's mystery now a haunting absence. He replayed their last conversation, searching for missed clues. Where had she gone? What had she found? Brian's worry deepened, a gnawing feeling that her disappearance was entwined with the egg's enigma. In his garden, where the saga began, Brian searched for overlooked details. Amidst trampled grass, a subtle clue emerged, a distinct footprint near the egg's original location. It was a small but deliberate mark, possibly a lead to the egg's origins, or to who might have brought it there. Brian felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this was the first real clue. Brian's quest led him to Letitia's home. Unattended mail hinted at her sudden departure. Neighbors offered little, most shrugged with concern. However, one recalled a recent intense conversation between Letitia and a stranger. The details were scant, but it was a lead. Brian noted everything, unease growing. Where had Letitia gone, and what had she discovered? Around him, neighbors whispered theories. A government experiment, one suggested. No, it's alien, another argued. Each hypothesis was more outlandish than the last, spanning secret projects to interstellar messages. Brian listened, wondering if any held a shred of truth. Yet, his focus remained steadfast. Find Letitia and uncover the real story behind the enigmatic blue egg. Brian, determined to unravel the egg's mystery, reached out to his neighbors. He found a few like him, driven by curiosity and concern. They agreed to meet to pool their knowledge and resources. This small group, a mix of skeptics and believers, shared Brian's need for answers. Together, they planned to investigate the egg's origins, independent of the media's sensationalism and the police's guarded approach. The group convened in Brian's garage, a safe distance from the prying eyes of reporters and police. They sat in a circle, a sense of conspiracy hanging in the air. Brian outlined the situation, emphasizing the need for discretion. Once a place for mundane tasks, the garage now hosted a secret council united by a shared quest for the truth behind the mysterious egg. Roles were assigned to leverage each member's strengths. One, a retired librarian, would delve into historical records. Another, tech-savvy, would scour the internet for similar occurrences. A third, with connections in local wildlife agencies, would seek expert opinions. Each task was crucial, a piece of the puzzle they were collectively trying to solve. Brian felt a surge of hope. Together, they were stronger, their quest for answers more achievable. Their efforts soon bore fruit. The tech expert stumbled upon an obscure online forum. Here, scattered across various threads, were accounts of similar egg sightings. Each story was a variation of Brian's experience, unexpected discoveries of unusually large, colored eggs. This revelation was a breakthrough, suggesting a pattern, a phenomenon larger than their solitary experience. The group's excitement was palpable. They were onto something.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
Despite the external pressure and the growing media circus outside, the group's resolve only strengthened. They met regularly, sharing updates and theories. Each new piece of information added to the tapestry of their investigation. Brian felt a sense of camaraderie with his neighbors. Together, they were a united front, committed to uncovering the truth, no matter how strange or unexpected it might turn out to be. In Letitia's home, amidst her belongings, Brian discovered a trove of her research. Notebooks filled with meticulous notes on various bird species, and their eggs lay scattered on her desk. Each page was a testament to her thoroughness. Sketches of eggs, notes on color variations, and size comparisons. It was evident that Letitia had been deeply invested in unraveling the mystery of the blue egg. The group pored over Letitia's notes, and a pattern emerged. The egg sizes and colors she documented showed remarkable similarities to their mysterious egg. It wasn't just the size or the striking blue hue. The texture and shape also matched. This pattern hinted at a broader phenomenon, a piece of the puzzle that they had been missing. Letitia's diligence had opened a new avenue in their investigation. Brian found a hastily scribbled note between the pages of Letitia's notebook. It read, "Unexpected source, a possible breakthrough. Must investigate further." The cryptic yet promising note suggested that Letitia had stumbled upon a significant lead. What was this unexpected source? The group's curiosity piqued. This note could be the key to understanding Letitia's sudden disappearance and the egg's mysterious origin. The group began to trace Letitia's last known steps, using her notes as a guide. They revisited the places she had been and spoke to people she had contacted. Each step brought them closer to understanding her actions before she vanished. It was like assembling a jigsaw puzzle, each piece bringing them closer to the complete picture. Letitia's path was slowly but surely becoming clearer. Inspired by the clues in Letitia's notes, the group decided to follow the lead she had noted. They planned to visit the unexpected source she had mentioned. It was a gamble, but one they were willing to take. Brian felt a renewed sense of purpose. Letitia's notes had provided them with valuable information and a direction to follow, a path that might lead them to the answers they sought. As Brian left his house one evening, a shadowy figure approached him. "You're meddling in affairs beyond your understanding," the stranger hissed, their voice low and urgent. "Stop looking for answers about the egg." The warning was vague, yet its menace was unmistakable. Brian, shaken, could only watch as the figure disappeared into the night, leaving a trail of unease and unanswered questions. The next day, the group received a series of anonymous messages. Each one was more ominous than the last, all echoing the same sentiment. Back off from the egg investigation. The source was untraceable, and the intent was clear. Fear began to seep into the group, a chilling reminder that their quest for answers was not without risks. The mystery of the egg had taken a darker turn. The threats cast a shadow over the group. Meetings that were once filled with enthusiastic theories now had an undercurrent of fear and suspicion. Trust, once given freely, became a commodity. Paranoia whispered in hushed tones, and allies eyed each other with newfound wariness. The unity they had once taken for granted was fraying, strained by the unseen pressures bearing down on them. In a decisive meeting, the group confronted the reality of their situation. "We can't let fear dictate our actions," Brian asserted, his voice firm. The others, bolstered by his resolve, agreed. They decided to continue their investigation, to delve deeper into the mystery of the egg. It was a bold stand against the veiled threats, a collective refusal to be intimidated into silence. As they renewed their efforts, an unsettling realization dawned on them. They were being watched. Unfamiliar cars lingered near their homes, and shadows flitted just out of sight. The sensation of being monitored was constant, a silent confirmation that their investigation was treading on sensitive ground. Undeterred but cautious, the group pressed on, aware that each step forward was observed by unseen eyes. During their research, the group stumbled upon information that cast the egg in a new light. They learned about the high value of fossilized eggs in the collector's market, with some fetching astronomical prices. This revelation sparked a flurry of new theories. Could their mysterious blue egg be more than just a biological oddity? Could it actually be a coveted relic, sought after by collectors? This newfound knowledge led the group to speculate about the true nature of the blue egg. If it were a fossilized egg, its rarity and uniqueness could explain the intense interest and the threats it had received. The idea that they might be dealing with something of great value changed the stakes of their investigation. The egg was no longer just a curiosity. It could be a treasure. The group began to consider the possibility that the egg's appearance had been deliberately altered. What if its striking blue color was not natural, but a ruse to disguise its true value? This theory of deception seemed plausible, especially in light of the veiled threats and the secretive behavior surrounding the egg. The more they pondered, the more they realized that the egg's true story might be hidden beneath layers of deceit. Aware of the potential danger surrounding the egg, the group felt a sense of urgency. They needed to uncover the truth before it was too late, before external forces could intervene. Each member doubled their efforts, combing through information, revisiting leads, and seeking new insights. Time was of the essence, and they were all too aware that they might be racing against powerful adversaries. Their perseverance led to a breakthrough. They uncovered evidence suggesting a cover-up involving rare fossils. Documents hinted at a network of collectors and dealers, all operating in the shadows, where rare items like fossilized eggs were traded for fortunes. This discovery implied that the egg might be part of a larger, more complex puzzle, one that involved high stakes and guarded secrets. In a dimly lit room, Brian and his group huddled together, formulating a plan to confront the mysterious stranger who had been shadowing their investigation. They debated strategies, each member contributing ideas. The air was thick with determination and a hint of apprehension. They knew this confrontation could be risky, but it was a chance they were willing to take to uncover the truth about the egg. The group, led by Brian, approached the stranger in a secluded spot where they had agreed to meet. The atmosphere was charged with tension. "We know you've been following us," Brian said firmly. "We want answers." The stranger, initially taken aback, regarded them with a measured gaze. The group stood their ground, an unspoken resolve binding them together in this moment of truth. After a moment of silence, the stranger began to speak. His knowledge about the egg was extensive. He spoke of its origins, its journey, and the interest it had sparked in certain circles. The group listened, captivated and surprised by the depth of his understanding. Each revelation added a new layer of complexity to the mystery of the egg, painting a picture far broader than they had imagined. As the conversation progressed, the stranger's demeanor shifted. He offered to assist them in their quest, providing insights and resources that were previously beyond their reach. This unexpected alliance was a turning point. The group, initially wary, began to see the value in this new partnership. Their former watcher was now an ally. His motives aligned with their quest for the truth. Guided by the stranger's insights, the group began to see the situation in a new light. The mystery of the egg was not just a local curiosity. It was a small piece in a larger puzzle that spanned beyond their neighborhood, possibly even beyond their understanding. This new perspective was both daunting and exhilarating. The group, now bolstered by their unexpected ally, felt a renewed sense of purpose in their investigation. In a surprising twist, the group, with the help of their new ally, discovered that the mysterious egg was, in fact, from an emu. This revelation came as a shock. All the theories about rare fossils and covert operations dissolved in an instant. The egg, which had caused so much speculation and fear, was simply the product of a large, flightless bird commonly found on farms. The group learned of a nearby farm that had recently reported missing emus. Connecting the dots, they realized the egg in Brian's backyard must have come from one of these escaped birds. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place. The egg's size and unusual coloration, which had sparked so many wild theories, were simply natural characteristics of an emu's egg. The mystery of the blue egg unraveled rapidly. What had seemed like a complex enigma was, in reality, a natural occurrence. The group reflected on their journey, the twists and turns of their investigation, leading to this simple explanation. The egg was not a relic or an alien artifact. It was a reminder of nature's ability to surprise and confound, even in the most ordinary of circumstances. Letitia's research and initial suspicions about the egg's origin were validated. Her notes, which had meticulously documented various bird species and egg characteristics, had hinted at a more mundane explanation. Although her approach had been more grounded, it was no less significant. Her intuition and methodical research had been crucial in guiding the group towards the truth. As the truth about the egg spread, the neighborhood breathed a collective sigh of relief. The fear and mystery that had gripped the community were replaced by a sense of wonder and amusement. The egg, which had brought them together under strange and stressful circumstances, was now a source of shared stories and laughter. The community, once divided by fear, was now united in relief and newfound camaraderie. Letitia reappeared, much to the relief of the neighborhood. She explained her sudden disappearance, driven by her growing fears over the egg's origins and the subsequent attention it garnered. Letitia had felt overwhelmed, unsure of whom to trust as the situation escalated. Her return was met with understanding and empathy, as many in the community could relate to the anxiety and confusion she had experienced. Brian and Letitia, now armed with the truth about the egg, approached the authorities to report the loose emu. They explained the entire saga, from the discovery of the egg to the revelation of its true origin. The authorities listened intently, surprised by the turn of events. The information was crucial in helping them understand the situation and in planning the safe capture of the escaped bird. The police, upon learning the truth, clarified their initial stance. They admitted that their suspicion of the egg being a rare and valuable fossil had led to their cautious approach, including the neighborhood evacuation. This admission brought a sense of closure to the community, clearing any lingering misunderstandings. The police appreciated the group's efforts in uncovering the truth, acknowledging the importance of community involvement in such unique situations. The revelation about the egg's origin had an unexpected but welcome effect on the neighborhood. Residents came together, sharing their experiences and feelings about the recent events. The ordeal, which had started with uncertainty and fear, ended in a communal sense of relief and unity. The neighborhood, once disrupted by the mysterious presence of the egg, now rejoiced in its newfound togetherness and the resolution of the mystery. In the quiet aftermath, Brian reflected on the entire adventure. He thought about the power of community, how, despite initial fears and misunderstandings, everyone came together to support each other and seek the truth. He pondered the simplicity of that truth, hidden beneath layers of speculation and fear. The experience had taught him valuable lessons about patience, understanding, and the strength found in unity. The egg, a symbol of mystery, had transformed into a symbol of community resilience.